Welcome to the League of Women Voters and District 203 General Home and School Candidate Forum for the Naperville Community School District 203 Board. This event is being recorded. I'm Susan Craighead, President of the League of Women Voters of Naperville. The League is a nonpartisan organization. We do not support or oppose candidates for public office. You can rely on the League to present fair and civil candidate events where each candidate is allowed an equal chance to respond. Local elections typically have a much lower turnout than presidential or midterm elections. Yet it is the local elections that have real consequences in our day-to-day lives. In many ways, our local officials have the most impact on our quality of life. I hope that your attendance here tonight means that you are making your plan for how you will cast your vote on or before Tuesday, April 1st. In addition to watching candidate events live or recorded, you may also find candidate information on vote411.org, our nonpartisan online voter guide, beginning March 17th. All candidates have been invited to respond to questions, and their answers appear unedited and complete. A video of this candidate forum will be linked to Vote 411. And now, let me introduce our partner representative, Ashley Cook, President of District 203 General Home and School. Ashley?
Good evening. My name is Ashley Cook, and I'm the president of the District 203 General Home and School Association. Our mission is to help facilitate a cooperative partnership among our students, parents and guardians, and district staff and administration to support and enhance the school experience for each student. We support events, volunteer efforts, and fundraising at the district's 23 schools from preschool through our adult transition program. I would like to thank the League of Women Voters of Naperville for organizing this panel tonight, and I would like to thank all of the candidates for their participation. General Home and School worked closely with the League of Women Voters to develop the questions that will be asked of the candidates this evening based on feedback from our community. And now I would like to introduce the moderator, Jan Dorner.
Thank you, Ashley. Welcome to the candidate forum put on by the League of Women Voters of Naperville. My name is Jan Dorner, and I am from the League of Women Voters of Elmhurst. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that neither supports nor opposes candidates or parties for any office. The League's purpose is to promote political responsibility through the informed and active participation of citizens in government. Providing this forum allows citizens to become better informed about the issues facing their community and to become better acquainted with the candidates running for office. We are happy to provide this service for the community. The League of Women Voters is not responsible for verifying the accuracy of the statements that candidates make in this forum. This forum is for those seeking to be Naperville District 203 school board members. 4 seats are up for election. The term is 4 years for each position. The candidates have agreed to abide by the rules set forth prior to the forum. The purpose of a candidate forum is to allow voters an opportunity to hear candidates discuss issues and stimulate public interest in the race. As this is a forum and not a debate, candidates must address the moderator, not each other. The moderator will enforce league rules. Each candidate will present a 1-minute introductory statement, the order determined alphabetically, listed by last name. Then league and community-generated questions will be asked, and each candidate will have 1 minute to respond in alternating order. Closing statements in continuing alpha rotation will be 1 minute. A timer screen with periodic countdown will be visible to the candidates and moderator throughout the forum. Please note the countdown: 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and stop. Candidates will strictly adhere to the time limits. When you see the stop sign, you may finish your sentence. Candidates, please unmute and turn on your video. Our candidates tonight are Joy Blastic, Charles Cush, Jillian Langer, Amanda McMillen, and Marc Willensky. Let's start with opening statements from candidate Blastic. You have 1 minute.
Thank you, Jan, and thank you, League of Women Voters and Home and School. So I'm Joy Blastic. I am running for Naperville 203 School Board because I have 4 current students in the district. So I have a 4th grader, 6th grader, 9th grader, and 10th grader. We've been a part of the district for 11 years. This is our 11th year, and we're going to be here for another 8.5 years. So that is my vested interest in the district, having been kind of the whole arc of the district now at this point, and experiencing what it's like as a parent, as a family, with our neighbors and community, what the district and the services are like. That's why I'm running. I am, by day, I'm an attorney. I work in crime victims' rights and support and enforce those rights across the entire state of Illinois, all 102 counties. So I've been working in public service and law and policy. I previously worked in the Illinois Senate, and I've been a volunteer community advocate with co-founding the Naperville Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense organization here in town. So I'm here. I'm excited to have this forum today, and thank you, League of Women Voters and Home and School.
Thank you. Candidate Cush, could you please give your 1-minute opening statement?
Okay, well, first of all, thanks for this opportunity. Thanks to the League of Women Voters as well as the Home and School Association for this opportunity. My name is Charles Cush, and I currently serve on the Board of Education for Naperville 203. I've been a resident of Naperville since 2010 when relocating here with my wife, Jeannie, and our family. I've got 3 children, including 2 recent graduates of the district. Been a board member since 2016, and I'm seeking re-election to the board for the same reason that I ran the first time, and that is because I've got a passion for service and for helping others achieve their full potential. Professionally, I have 25 years of experience in Fortune 500 companies. I currently own my own consulting business where I help companies solve business problems and reach their full potential. And I also currently serve as an adjunct professor at College of DuPage as well as St. Catherine University in Minneapolis. And I think those experiences inform my time on the board and experience. And if reelected, and so thank you for this opportunity. And I look forward to the rest of the questions in the forum.
Thank you. Candidate Langer, your 1-minute opening statement, please. Please unmute.
Thanks, Jan, and thanks to the League of Women Voters. I'm Jillian. I'm running for the school board because I believe in the power of community engagement and data-driven outcomes that drive the best decisions for our students. With a background in epidemiology and a master's in public health, I bring a unique perspective, how data can inform policies that can truly benefit our students. My career, I worked for a forensic engineering firm, and as the current home and school president at Maplebrook Elementary, I've seen firsthand the importance of fostering strong ties between families and schools. As a veteran of the United States Army, I embody service and teamwork and resilience and values that I will bring to the school board, and I'm committed to listening to parents and supporting our teachers, ensuring that every student has a chance to thrive in our district.
Thank you. Candidate McMillen, your opening statement.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Amanda McMillen, and I am thrilled to be running for a second term for the District 203 School Board. I moved to the district in 2016 with my kids, my twin boys that were entering into kindergarten at the time. And now I am a parent of 4 kids that are currently in the district. Those twin boys are now in the 8th grade. I have a 16-year-old, and then I have a stepdaughter who's also in 8th grade. So very busy at our household. I am a licensed clinical social worker and have a master's in social science administration. I've spent the past 20 years of my career working in nonprofits, focusing on children, youth, and families across the spectrum, across all kinds of issues, and focusing on social issues. And I'm really looking forward tonight to be able to share my experience and be able to hopefully earn your trust and your vote. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Candidate Willensky, your opening statement.
Yes, thank you, League of Women Voters of Naperville and Home and School for hosting this evening's forum. I'm running for school board because I want to devote my time to giving back to the community that has given my daughter and I so much. I've worked in finance for 30 plus years at Fortune 500 companies and was a former CPA at Arthur Andersen. I'm originally from New York City and relocated for work and lived in Europe and then Nashville. When I relocated to Illinois, my family was encouraged to move to Naperville because of the schools and community. I've lived in Naperville for the last 12 years, and my daughter attended 203 schools. She was inspired by her teachers to go into education, and she recently graduated from Illinois State University. As a school board member, I am able to leverage my professional skills and experience to provide the necessary financial oversight. I also volunteer my time on the board of local environmental organizations, Accelerate Climate Solutions, and the River Prairie Group of the Sierra Club. I was recently appointed to the executive board of the Alive Center. I'm passionate about giving students opportunities outside of the classroom to gain skills that will help them achieve lifelong success. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's start the questions with candidate Cush. Please share your thoughts about the innovative school day initiative now being proposed for Naperville School District 203.
Thank you for the question. Let's just start off with a really tough question. So I will just say I am all for innovation. I think that the reasons and the rationale behind the innovative school day proposal are the right ones. We need to be thinking about things differently. We need to be innovating. That said, the concerns that I've heard from the many people I've talked to in the community, not only parents, but also the teachers that would be implementing this plan, is that there are a lot of things that folks have concerns with. And so, you have two major constituents, both the parents as well as the teachers, who don't believe that we're ready as the plan is currently constituted. And so I have concerns with the implementation side of it. And so as one of the two people who are on this panel who are going to have the opportunity to vote on that, at this time, I'll just point blank say that I don't support the plan currently as it's currently constituted, but I applaud the effort and the energy to put together something that's going to help us drive some innovation in the future to make sure that our kids are getting what they need to succeed.
Thank you. Candidate Langer, same question.
Yes, I echo what Charles is saying as far as, our district is always at the forefront of developing new curriculum and policies to push our students forward. We're one of the most prepared districts in the country. However, I unfortunately don't support the innovative school plan right now as it stands. I'm really concerned for the teachers and having enough time for them to be trained and prepared. I'm concerned for our families. I think that trying to roll this plan out in August is going to be a big challenge and might, put our students back. I'm concerned about our students sitting through an 85-minute block time. So I would like to see more engagement with the community and taking their feedback into account.
Thank you. Candidate McMillen, your thoughts on this plan?
Yeah, thank you so much. I really applaud the district in trying to think about ways to solve some of the issues that we're really concerned about. One of those is closing achievement gaps, where we find the majority of achievement gaps fall in the math area. So through this, we're able to use the innovation to create more time in math for elementary and middle school, which helps create the foundation of the core math skills that they'll need in high school to help them be more successful. I do agree with the other candidates before that we need to take a little bit more time and think about how we're going to implement, maybe piloting certain areas that might be easier, like our early childhood education or elementary. And then also we need to think about the actual operational piece, which is the scheduling thing, which gave most people a lot of alarm. Thinking about that separately versus the actual change to what's happening during the school day. So those are the things that I want to look for, is looking at how do we plan on doing it more thoughtfully and also separating those two various things.
Thank you. Candidate Willensky.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think one thing that needs to be separated is what are we doing that is for the benefit of the students, and what are we doing for efficiency for the schools? Because I think we need a way to prioritize what it is that we need to focus on. The second thing as mentioned is that August 2025 is just too soon to do this. There's been a lot of pushback from the community about the timeline to get this all implemented in 6 months. We have to have teachers, give teachers time to work on their lesson plans. Families need to plan their schedules. Students need to be prepared for the changes that they're going to be going through. Right now, we have a great school district, and I'm concerned that if we don't do the implementation right, our children in the next year will suffer because of that. So I'm not a supporter of doing the innovative school plan as it is outlined today. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Blastic, your thoughts on this initiative?
Yeah, the implementation questions, I'm going to kind of go along with everyone else on that, but a few other things I want to, that give me pause with this, is I do think we've had a lack of connection between the goals we have, what we're looking to achieve, and how this plan is going to achieve them. So it's not just the school day. We want to add more math minutes. We want more supervision, less waiting in the morning at the high school. But this is a very large plan. And how does each piece meet one of those goals? And I think we're lacking in the source information. Give our parents and our community the data that shows this is the plan that meets that need, and identify all those needs. So that's lacking. And then with very limited time to implement that, I already have my form for next year to sign up for after school care for my child, but we don't know when the start time and end time is going to be. So we definitely need more plans for families and teachers to work on this implementation.
Thank you. Candidate Langer, you'll be first on this question. When making hard decisions, how would you balance the feedback from the community with the recommendations of the administrative team?
Well, first and foremost, I think I would have to focus on my role as a school board member. While we're not responsible for day-to-day operations, we're more responsible for the large big picture governance. So I would definitely take that into account with regard to the administrative perspective, but while still keeping the students' best interest and anybody else that was involved. I really think that in order to be successful on the board, we need a spirit of collaboration. And I think that we need to understand everyone's competing interest and do what's best for our students, families, and teachers. But while still understanding that, the district is also trying to do its best for our students as well. So I think, allowing everyone a voice at the table and allowing for community engagement and actually taking the feedback into account.
Thank you. Candidate McMillen, same question.
I think this is an area that we are constantly striving to improve. Over the past 4 years, we have been very intentional about trying to engage more student voice, especially in board major decisions. So, for example, for the reporting for the students that report at the school board, there's a rotation, so we get voices of many different students. We created the Supervisor Student Advisory Council that meets on a regular basis to give guidance to the superintendent about their feelings about belonging. We did do different forums around the Innovative School Day that invited people in, but it's not enough, right? We're not capturing the whole of voice. And so we need to continue to do better about how do we capture, and make sure the community actually feels heard from the board, and then we're being able to capture the full scope of everything.
Thank you. Candidate Willensky.
Yes, thank you. I think there are times when the board needs to be in a leadership role and explain to the community why we're following a particular path, with our focus always being our North Star, always being what's in the best interest of the student. But once we come to that decision, I think then we need to be able to talk as one voice and explain to the community why we're doing things. In other cases, and the great example is the question you asked right before around the Innovative School Day, there are other times, though, when I think the board needs to be listening to the community and being able to be that voice on the board in order to say, hang on, the community is giving us some serious questions here that need to be answered. And while our focus is on the best interest of the student, We don't feel that maybe the administration is doing that in this particular case, and we have to stand up for what the community is raising questions about. Thank you.
Thanks. Candidate Blastic, your response?
Yeah, thank you. I really love this question. I spent 4 years working in constituent service in a Senate, Illinois Senate office. So I was taking the emails, all of the phone calls, and synthesizing that information. And one of the skills I took from that is really the ability to see patterns in that constituent response. And being part of the community, I have kids at all levels, so I'm experiencing it and talking to those parents and living it as well. But then when you get that feedback, is the pattern showing you that we need to communicate better? The concern is we don't really know what this plan is. You haven't been transparent. We need more information. Or is it a pattern that certain perspectives, certain views have been left out, and we need to pause and include them and bring them in? So that's kind of how I go about balancing things and bringing my questions to the board. What would guide my decision making? Have we included all voices? Who's missing? Is there a consistent pattern of unheard voices or louder voices? And that's where I would lead.
Thank you. Candidate Cush.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I will just say it like this. Our first priority and our top priority is the needs of the kids that we serve in our district, the 16,252 kids that we serve in our district, period. The kids and their families and what is going to be best to drive the success that they need. That's got to be what we focus on every single day. So the needs of the administration, to the extent, or the suggestions of the administration, to the extent that they're meeting the needs of the community, then you have a good marriage there, right? But it's really about making sure that we're listening, understanding what the community needs, and the innovative school day is a good example. The reason, as I said, that I don't support it as it's currently constituted, is because the solution that's being provided, we are, we were asking the community to be crushed under the weight of the solution that we were providing. And that just can't happen. You can't put that much burden. And that's why the feedback that's come back has had that impact that it's had on me in terms of where I stand on that. So first and foremost, it's the community. Period.
Thank you. Candidate McMillen, what are your thoughts about how digital literacy should be incorporated into the curriculum, and how does that affect the current curriculum?
That's a great question. One of the things that we are constantly working towards in this district is how do we make sure that what the youth are learning today is preparing them for the vastly changing career market that they're getting ready to prepare for. We have all kinds of options, and AI specifically is really changing the game in a huge way. And years ago, the district had put in plans on how do we make sure that this is a tool and resource that helps students thoughtfully learn and help them be more prepared. So with digital literacy, I think it's really important that we stay on top of that and make sure that we constantly are innovating to make sure that the students come out very prepared and ready to hit the ground running once they leave the school district.
Thank you. Candidate Willensky.
Yes, thank you for the question. I think there's two key pieces to this. One is that I think as a school district, we need to embrace the changes that are going on in the world today, particularly around digital. And we need to get ahead of the curve on that. There's careers that are existing today, such as in the area of artificial intelligence, that did not exist a few years ago. And we also have to be able to move our children forward and the way we teach using the tools that we now have that didn't exist years ago. So I think, one, it's really important for us to embrace these changes. Secondly, I think it's also important that we teach kids how to use the new tools in a responsible way so that they become better informed about how the tools are used and how they can leverage those tools to be more successful, not only in school, but in their life as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Blastic.
Yeah, thank you for this question. With ChatGPT being so new, I was really surprised this year. My fourth grader was already using it regularly in class as part of a class assignment. And the teacher was using it to guide them in what the tool could do, what are the limits of the tool, how to use it responsibly. And when he first came home saying they were doing that, I was surprised, but I've been really impressed that even in elementary school, in 4th grade, they are starting to use this tool, and teaching about how it should be used, what the limitations are, how it can go wrong in funny and not so funny ways. So I really love that as a district, right off the bat, we are embracing this, and our teachers are working in those lessons of responsibility, good digital citizenship, and also the safety, just generally the safety around using these tools. We're doing a really good job, and I love to see that right off the bat this year, our teachers are already on top of it. So I like how we're moving and being ahead of this technology.
Thank you. Candidate Cush. Candidate Cush, you need to unmute.
I was trying to get through the whole thing without being on mute by accident. Oh, well, messed that up. Okay. So I think it's really important. I'm really proud of the work that we as a district have done being a leader in this area. We were one of the first to go to one-to-one devices, which, and we can talk about the remote learning and how that's gone, but having the capability and being forward thinking of having that capability in place was important. Digital tools are here to stay. They're part of the world that we live in. But we need to make sure that we are teaching students how to incorporate these tools, while making sure that they don't lose sight of the skills, such as critical thinking, communication, adaptability, that are going to be skills that they're going to use regardless of the tools that are in place now or the ones that are going to be developed into the future. These tools can enhance these skills, but they're not going to be a replacement for them. So making sure that we're, again, keeping our kids on the cutting edge of understanding how to use these tools, but really making sure that they're also getting that foundation of the skill sets that they're going to need to be successful, not just the tools. Because the tools will come and go, and there'll be new tools that we don't even know about right now. But it's the skill sets that are critically important that we weave those things in as well.
Candidate Langer.
Yes. So I approach this from 3 perspectives: critical thinking, responsible engagement, and future ready skills. Again, I think everybody has agreed that our district does a great job with handling technology integration with the classrooms and our Chromebooks, and big shout out to all of our technology departments there. But I want to make sure that students are able to critically access online information. Again, everybody's talked about cybersecurity and digital citizenship with increasing concerns about cyberbullying and misinformation, ethical behaviors. I want to make sure that teachers have enough training to support these resources, and that we have parent and community involvement in the district to provide guidelines on how parents can support digital integration from home.
Thank you. Candidate Willensky, if the Federal Department of Education ceases to exist, what effects would that have on Naperville School District 203, and how would you, as a board member, address these effects?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I guess I take the approach of I hope for the best, but I want to plan for the worst. We get about $10 million a year in federal aid that goes to our neediest students in the district, and it would be a shame to see that go away. And I think we need to be planning on what happens if that happens, and how are we going to fund those programs. So I think coming up with a contingency budget in order to figure out how we can address that is very, very important. The other thing is just to understand what the Department of Education does in addition to the funding. They also are the insurers of equal access to education, which is very important nationally, not only in our district. And the third thing that they do that is really important is they provide our educators with data that the educators can use in order to figure out what is going to work best for our students. So while I hope it doesn't happen, I think we need to prepare for it.
Thank you. Candidate Blastic.
Yeah, so as Marc mentioned, it's $10 million, about 3% of our budget currently is federal. So that's the first concern. What those funds go to: Title I, school lunch program, ADA, special ed, Medicaid that supports those services that push in for our students in the school, teacher training, English language learners. So it's all critical parts of our education. But an important thing to keep in mind and in perspective is that education is primarily a state prerogative. So Illinois, we have the Illinois Human Rights Act. We have protections still for our students, and we'd follow Illinois law. We follow Illinois curriculum. We would lose resources, we would lose funds, and I would hope we'd be able to keep as many as possible. But we're Illinois and we're Naperville, so we would have state protections for our special needs, our students with disabilities, and to protect all of our students and protect our curriculum. So that's the important thing to keep in mind, that we will still be Illinois with our Illinois resources and our Illinois protections.
Thank you. Candidate Cush.
Yeah, as has been mentioned, $10 million, 3% of our budget. Those are all important figures. But this district has always had a very responsible approach and been very wise with the dollars. And so there have been several years where we've run surpluses. We found ways to reduce our spending in certain areas so that we've been able to conserve dollars to make sure that we have rainy day funds. Now, $10 million is a large chunk of money that we would not be able to just quickly replace, but we've always done the right things in terms of prioritizing. It's already been mentioned where those funds currently go, and so making sure that we're protecting our most vulnerable populations, if we do end up with some sort of a shortage. But I also want to say that it's a question of if the department goes away, I think the way the question was asked, versus if the funding goes away. And the things that we've heard right now are that the certain programs that we've mentioned that those funds go to are still going to be in place. Now, what the department's going to look like is different, but it's also been mentioned that we are governed by the state. And so we are very fortunate to live in the state of Illinois that prioritizes education. And so, while it would create some stress, I think that as long as the financial side of it stayed in place, we would be in a good position.
Thank you. Candidate Langer.
Thank you. So if the Department of Education ceased to exist, the three things that would be concerning to me, again, everybody's talked about the funding, for Title I and low-income students, the district might need new funding sources or cut some services. And this is where I would really, if there was a thing where we needed to get into a situation to cut services, I would really love to see the district rely on all of the smart people we have in our community to give some feedback on that. The other thing the department does is oversee regulations. There might be less federal oversight leading to more control over education standards and policy, but this could mean more flexibility in the local area, but it could definitely lead to some inconsistencies. And then I guess the third thing would be, civil rights protections and enforcement of educational civil rights might become more decentralized, which could affect consistency in protecting students' rights.
Thank you. Candidate McMillen.
Well, I think all my candidates before me are very educated and they provided a lot of great feedback. This is one of those situations where I feel a little, I don't have too much to add as the last person on this question, but one of the things though, as a social worker is that, and being part of the board is that we have always prioritized making sure that the students in our district with the highest needs are focused on inclusion and equity in our district. And that is something that will never go away, especially with myself committed to the district. So 3% isn't too much of our budget. I mean, it is a large sum of money for any individual, but I think that we could easily make some cuts in other areas to make sure that we are prioritizing this, the funding that the federal government currently covers. I think we're very fortunate to not rely too much on the current federal government so that we'll be able to easily adapt.
Thank you. Candidate Blastic, what would you propose and/or personally advocate for to make sure that all students' mental and physical health is supported?
Oh, that's a great question. So that's a really broad one as well. One of the things I would like to see, especially for parents who have concerns about seeking services for 504s and IEPs, there's definitely, I'm feeling and hearing from a lot of parents, there's this sense that you kind of have to claw those services from the district. People seeking advocates and attorneys, in that there's a feeling that we have to fight really hard to get those services. So just generally, and this would cover all of those services, I would really like to work on working with parents in the community and the administration to really having the holistic view that serving and meeting the needs of all students, whether or not we have the 504s or ADA federally anymore, if we can seek to push in more places, we're going to lift up all students in the classroom, have a better learning environment, and make it more of a collaborative rather than a combative experience for parents and for families.
Thank you. Candidate Cush. You're muted again.
Jeez Louise, that's two for me. Okay. Thanks for the question. I think the way you asked the question, what I would suggest, when you say, what would I advocate for? I would advocate for more. The pandemic really created and uncovered a lot of needs in our students. The need for belonging is a big one, and we've invested money there. Need for mental health services has increased there, and we've invested more money there as well. But the person who answered, so Holly before me, made a really great point. I recently received a note from a parent talking about just that very issue in terms of making sure that we are accelerating how quickly we're able to get resources where they are needed. There is this feeling out there that, folks feel like they have to really fight, and we need to try to find a way to make that easier, make sure people get what they're eligible for and what they're entitled to, without it having to necessarily be a fight. So to me, it'd be a way to figure out how to advocate, how to accelerate getting the supports to the folks who need them. I think that, once we get the supports to them, they have what they need, but we need to find a way to accelerate that.
Thank you. Candidate Langer.
Yes, so I would definitely advocate for a little bit of change in our SEL program. I do, understand that the district has well-meaning intentions with it, but I think that students, do better with on-hand SEL rather than just learning it in the classroom. I think that I would advocate for giving the teachers training to see the warning signs early on when there are mental health issues. I think, like Charles has said, we did not get out of the pandemic for free, and I do think that we're still seeing a lot of concerns from that time period. I see it in my own kids every day, and I was just having that conversation today with a parent. So I would say strengthening that parent and community support.
Thank you. Candidate McMillen.
Mental health is my jam. It's my career. So it's something that I have a lot of focus and a lot of feelings on. Some of the things that we've really done over the past years, especially coming out of the pandemic, which is really focused on this youth mental health crisis that everyone is talking about. It is real. We saw a huge spike in behavior issues with students reintegrating into the schools, and it made us focus on how do we learn better and really focus on the holistic child, right? So we incorporated MTSS, which looks at the individual needs of every single student, and then being able to look at what they need behaviorally as well as academically, and trying to individualize it for the students. We also partnered with the community, like Linden Oates, and brought in therapists into the schools. And then we also have specialized rooms that helps students for soothing or exercise and getting their energy out. So I think those are really important, as well as, 1 minute's not a lot of time, but there's a lot of other things we've done around physical safety and emotional safety as well.
Thank you. Candidate Willensky.
Yes, thank you. We always have to do more, I think, in this area, and we have to make sure mental health is treated no differently than physical health. Early screening to identify issues and problems is very important. I also want to make sure we're bringing the community together to talk about what it is that we can do. So parents who are, seeing what's going on with their children have a perspective that we may not be aware of. So I think it's very important that we bring the community together to have these types of discussions. Secondly, the school can't do it alone. Some of the folks had mentioned already some partnerships that we have with other organizations. I think we need to continue to strengthen that. And also we need to look at more partnerships because the schools just cannot do that alone. There's just too much of a need for it. And the schools don't always have the expertise that's needed. So I think strengthening and creating new partnerships with organizations in the community is critical.
Thank you. Candidate Cush, how can the Board of Education best communicate with and be accessible to the community? And
So,
there you go.
oh, yeah, no, I'm good. Yeah, accessible. I think it's really about outreach. We have the tremendous opportunity as board members to be partnered up with different individual schools, and then we rotate through those. We call them adoptive schools, and so that's a program that has been in place for a while, and I think that creates a great outlet for the community. There's also the emails that come through. When we were talking about the Innovative School Day, I took it upon myself to do some outreach and reach out to parents, reach out to teachers to really try to understand what some of the issues were. And so, how can the board just by being more accessible, by being out there, anybody knows that they can reach out to me and have conversations. I've had several conversations recently, but that's over the course of my 8 years on the board. I've had many, many conversations with parents and with teachers as well and members of the community. So I think that that plus also the opportunity to create other forums. There are forums such as Talk 203 and other things, and things where we bring community members together. But really, I think more outreach could be done, and it really has to happen on a one-to-one level.
Thank you. Candidate Langer.
Yeah, so I was excited about this question because part of my process, to get informed was to hold forums with parents and teachers and get sort of feedback. And I think the general consensus, especially from parents, is that everybody is surveyed out. And, even in this last Innovative School Day, we only saw about 1% response rate. And I guess you could take that any way, but I see that as I think some parents feel like they're not being heard, so why bother to respond? So I would like to improve the ways in which we, engage with the community, engage with everybody for their feedback in order to make it more meaningful for them. And, maybe, and a lot of parents are saying that their feedback isn't responded to, so I'm not quite sure, maybe having direct access rather than having these feedback loop channels.
Thank you. Candidate McMillen.
No worries. I mean, you want to call me McMillan, that's fine. I agree with Charles and Jillian in regards to, I think that we do a pretty good job of providing outlets to engage students and get their feedback. We have very intentional, different types of forums for talking to key stakeholders in the community. I think that we could maybe have, I think it'd be really great to see quarterly listening sessions for the board, because we have to be very careful about bringing too many board members together because that becomes a regular meeting. But to hear from the community about things that they really care about, and and then also thinking about how do we then take that feedback and make sure they're also getting the voices of all the parents. That's the thing, is a lot of times the same people keep showing up. So how do we get that representation from those that aren't tend to step up?
Thank you. Candidate Willensky.
Yes, thank you for the question. I'm a very big fan of having listening sessions. And I think it's important that we go to the different schools as a board and hear directly from parents, students, and others in the community. And again, making ourselves more available to having those types of meetings. Now, I know there's been some concerns raised about the Open Meeting Act, but I think I would look to work with our district's attorney and figure out how we can have these listening sessions without being in violation of the act. And I think it's very important that we get ourselves out there in the community to hear directly from folks and about what's important to them. And then we can draw our conclusions about what we're hearing and what is the patterns that we're seeing that has parents concerned or students and other community members concerned. Thank you.
Thanks. Candidate Blastic.
Thank you. So in my daily work, one of the things I focus on doing a lot is eliminating barriers to access to service. And one of the things with listening sessions, or what you hear is it's the same few people all the time, is often we're doing it at the same time of day or in the same way. And there's only certain population of parents or community members who are accessible. And I think the first part of this is actually begins with us being clearer and more transparent in our communication. The Innovative School Day is a perfect example. High school students were coming home and saying there's something about a block schedule in August. The first listening session before winter break, we went, it was Innovative School Day, block schedule wasn't mentioned, school start times weren't mentioned. We aren't using the plain, clear language and being transparent with parents and the community about what we're really doing. And when we do that, it invites that engagement, and parents who are listening to board meetings in their car or while they're doing dishes know exactly what's going on, and they can send those emails at their convenience, reach out at their convenience, but we have to be really clear and transparent about what those issues are so they can respond.
Thank you. Candidate Langer. What, if any, curriculum changes would you support for Naperville School District 203?
I think we do a great job with our curriculum. But again, I think some of the feedback that I got was centered around, our social emotional program, where again, a lot of teachers, that I spoke to said that kids really benefit from doing SEL rather than, just, seeing a video or hear about it, through a lesson plan. So I would definitely make some changes there. And then as far as, even on the other end of the spectrum, some of the PI and PI plus parents were giving me feedback that maybe there's some changes that need to happen at the high school level to make sure that our students are more competitive and prepared for college, because it seems as though some of the criteria has changed.
Thank you. Candidate McMillen.
This is an area that I'm really proud of the district that has done a lot of work over the past 4 years. And so one of the things, for example, in our high schools, we don't have a college counseling department anymore. We have the PARC. Now, I can't remember the acronym, but what now they're doing is focusing on what are the different areas that students are doing after high school, right? There's college is one option. There's the trades, there's career, there's military, and there's a gap year. And so they're really coaching them about what makes most sense to them as they're transitioning to their career. Continuing to adapt our curriculum to be more relevant and applicable to what kind of careers we have. We have the different tracks of IT, fiscal, health, education, arts, to allow students to explore their passions and see what they might really want in college, and then also having credits coming out of high school to help save money for them as they enter into college thing. I think that's stuff I want to continue.
Thank you. Candidate Willensky.
Yes, thank you. I think the district should continue doing what it's doing today in terms of constantly reviewing the curriculum and making sure that it's relevant. I think that's important, and we need to continue to be very forward-thinking about what we're offering to our students. If I've heard one concern from parents about the curriculum, it's probably around the way that we teach reading. And there's been a lot of concern that we may not be doing as good of enough job as we should in that area, and that parents are taking it upon themselves to get extra tutoring in that area. So that may be something that if I am elected to the board, I would probably want to take a closer look at and understand what we are doing in order to teach our kids reading, and if that's helping them succeed not only in their school career in District 203, but in college as well.
Thank you. Candidate Blastic.
Thank you. And I will build on what Marc just said. Especially when I was working in the Senate district office, we got a lot of feedback, especially from parents whose children had dyslexia. And they felt that the reading curriculum, how they were being taught, and the services available were not meeting their needs. And I know there were attempts, some were working to kind of get a pilot at their own school, but that was something they were reaching out beyond the district, asking for state legislation and state help because they felt their needs weren't being met. But generally, our district is doing really well. And I've been able to live and experience some of the changes. So what my sophomore had in social science in 5th grade was a little outdated. And now my youngest is coming through and we've updated that curriculum. It is more relevant. It is more inclusive. We're meeting state standards. Same thing with the science curriculum. So we are changing and adapting. And when you get to high school at this point, the kids have more classes they want to take than they can fit in their day. And so that's a wonderful problem to have, as many opportunities in a wide range of classes.
Thank you. Candidate Cush.
Yeah, to piggyback off of something that Candidate Blastic just mentioned, part of what we need to make sure we're doing is continuing to stay within state mandated guidelines. We do have room to operate within that. And as Candidate McMillen mentioned, very proud of the work that the district has done to come up with new and different and innovative things, finding ways to infuse more skills to prepare students for life readiness. So we call it college and career. We do really well on the college side. We have a high percentage of our students go to college, a high percentage of those then graduate within 4 years. So we've always had excellence there, but really making sure we focus on all of the career options that students will have down the road, especially in an ever-changing economy. So finding ways to infuse skill sets. Some things we've already put in place are things like the incubator program. We also have started to move that down to the junior high level. We have the Career Motivate, where students get exposure to a number of careers so they understand what their options are. And then the curriculum is built around helping them to build the skill sets that's going to be required to help them succeed in the future.
Thank you. Candidate McMillen, how do you propose school board members should work together effectively for the betterment of the Naperville School District 203 community?
That's a great question. And our school board has guidelines about how school and policies about how school board members are meant to work together. And I have my experience is when we follow those that we can be really effective. And that is about, it's not about agreeing. It's about having respectful conversations. It's about being prepared, making sure everyone steps up and does the homework, that they ask questions in advance, that we review all the materials. Everybody has equal access to every single thing, and that we are able to then use our forums in open session and during our board meetings to be able to discuss with each other about the different lenses and angles that we each bring to the table to help us consider different sides. And that's what I think makes a really rich board. And then we are able to have self-assessments at least once a year where we talk about how do we continue to work on each other and help enhance these guidelines to help us be effective as with board leadership.
Thank you. Candidate Willensky.
Yes, thank you. I think it's very important that we have a diverse board that represents all the different constituents of our district. I think it's important to get that representation. I think collaboration amongst the board members and having that mutual respect is very important. And it's not only among the board, it's also with the superintendent and his team. It's with the teachers, it's the other staff, it's the parents. I think it's really important that the board listens to the different points of view. We may not always agree on everything, but that's perfectly okay, as long as we're respectful to each other and we understand we're each coming at this with the best interests of the student in mind, and we're bringing our own experiences to the table to help make those decisions. So I think collaboration, mutual respect, and diversity are the key things that will make a board function correctly.
Thank you. Candidate Blastic.
Thank you. So one of the kind of the guideposts for me when we're thinking about how we all would work together is that currently every member of the board has been elected by the voters here in Naperville District 203. And in May, all of these, the new positions, those will be representatives who were selected by the community. So we need to view each other and in our conversations and in our work together, recognize that the community and voters saw something in each person they placed on that board and they voted for and they chose. And that means each person has their own point of view, their own expertise, and is representing the voices of the community. And if we come together and treat each other with grace and with recognizing that we're all approaching this with the best interest of the district and our students and our families, we can take those 7 perspectives and move forward with, to be greater, the whole can be greater than the 7 parts, and that we're all there for the right reasons and for our students, that once we come together and make a decision, we can all back it because it is backed on by the support of our community.
Thank you. Candidate Cush.
Yeah, as you ask this question, what comes to mind is a quote from Stephen Covey. It's seek first to understand, not necessarily to be understood. I think it's really important that folks be willing to challenge their own personal biases, because if I'm aware of my own personal biases, then I can rely on, as Holly mentioned, 7 people are being elected by the community. We're all there because of the expertise, because of the perspective that we bring. How do we bring that together? We need to be able to have those conversations. Recognize we're not always going to agree, and that's okay. Challenge one another respectfully. And also always remember that none of us is more important than any of us, and we are much stronger when we operate together, and with one voice that may have come through challenging and working through difficult issues. But when we come together, we make a decision. Everybody's on board and we're moving forward, because that's when we're at our most powerful as a board, and where we can be a force for the community, which is what they elected us to do.
Thank you. Candidate Langer.
I love this question too. I think a board works best when they have empathetic leadership, where, open, honest discussions where all voices are heard. Of course, collaboration and keeping disagreements professional, and ensure all the board members get the same information, focus on the governance and not micromanagement, clear expectations, a strong onboarding process. And I think leading from community-centered leadership, where parents, teachers, and students, can be a part of enhancing what the board has to offer. And I think when there are times in disagreement, we offer continuous learning and improvement, and board member training, or professional development, so we can stay, at the forefront of what we're here to do.
Thank you. So we're running out of time, so let's move to closing statements. And let's start with Candidate Willensky. You have 1 minute.
Yeah, thank you. My skills and experience in finance will make me a good steward of the district's finances and work to ensure that we get measurable results for the money we pay. I will work collaboratively with all board members, the superintendent and his team, as well as seek input from the parents, students, teachers, other staff, and members of the community. I also believe that a board member needs to take the initiative, and I have knocked on the doors of over 2,000 voters to hear directly from parents, students, and community members. I reached out and met with all the district unions, and I have met with local nonprofits focused on providing opportunities for our students, and I have been meeting with elected officials. I make sure that I am reachable and have been responding to a meeting with voters who want to learn more about my candidacy, the school board, and share their concerns. I've been putting in the work, and I am ready for this position. I'm committed to ensuring that all students are welcomed and supported and given every opportunity to be successful in school and in their lives. As I said earlier, I want to give back to the community that has given so much to my daughter and I. Thank you again to the League of Women Voters of Naperville and Home and School for hosting the forum tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Blastic.
Thank you. So as a parent, who's been living this district, just like all of the rest of you, I say it all the time, that's what I'm going to bring to this board. I've been moved here in 1998 for college, and I wasn't able to leave. And when it was time to have kids, this is where I wanted to be. So I've got this long time connection with the district. I'm here for a long time to come. And so what I'm looking to do, and what I would like your support and vote for 203 School Board, is confidence in me that I will represent you as parents, community members, and your students, and will always have their best interest at heart. I'm going to fight for every kid in this district, just like I do Mama Bear, my own 4 kids. I have the legal and administrative experience to guide policies, to guide the large institution and set policies that keep us in line with what we need for our community. I'd love for you to check out my website to get more information. That is Blastic for board203.com, and my email is there as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Cush.
Yes. Thank you to the League of Women Voters as well as the Home and School for pulling this together, giving us this opportunity. You know, I am seeking re-election to the board for the same reason that I ran the first time, and that's because I have a passion for service and helping others achieve their full potential. I believe that District 203 has a responsibility to provide a learning environment where every student has the opportunity to maximize their potential, and I want to continue to be part of helping the district fulfill that responsibility. I've been a board member since 2016, and during my 8 years serving in this role, Naperville 203 has built upon its reputation as a high-performing school district and currently ranks in the top 1% of all school districts in the country. Importantly, I believe my record of service has demonstrated my commitment to work tirelessly on behalf of this community. And I'm hopeful that I will earn your support. Please visit cushfor203.com to learn more about my candidacy and my positions on different things. Thank you again for this opportunity.
Thank you. Candidate Langer.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters and Home and School for putting this together. 6 years ago, had you told me that I'd be sitting here, I probably would have laughed in your face. But as we look ahead, I'm committed to ensuring that every student and every family and every educator in District 203 feels heard, supported, and valued. With my background in public health, legal experience, and my time as a home and school president, my dedication as a veteran, I bring a unique blend of data-driven decision-making, community engagement, and a service-oriented mindset. I believe that when we engage, families collaborate effectively and focus on real outcomes, we create stronger, more inclusive district for all. I'm not here to rubber stamp decisions. I'm here to ask the right questions and analyze the data and push for meaningful solutions. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate McMillen.
Thank you so much to everyone that put this together, and thank you so much to the candidates who continuously put in so much time and hard work on this campaign. It's been a pleasure to get to know all of you. I'm running again because I'm very proud of what I have been able to accomplish as a board member in District 203 over the past 4 years. I have the experience. I am passionate about the students and this school district, and I'm committed. I haven't missed one board meeting in 4 years. I continue to run on the 3 areas of advocacy, pushing for equitable funding in the state and federal levels to support students, belonging, promoting DEIB and SEL learning and mental health for all students, and connection by strengthening partnerships in our community. I invite you to learn more about me by visiting my website at amandamcmillen.com, and I hope that you make a plan to vote on April 1st or before, because April 1st is spring break, so please get out there and vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Our time is up for this forum. Your participation as a candidate and as a voter is essential to preserving the democracy we hold dear. For more information, please visit the Nonpartisan Voter Guide, vote411.org, the candidates' websites, as well as the League of Women Voters of Naperville's website. We hope that everyone will vote and inspire your family, friends, and neighbors to do the same. Please consider taking advantage of early voting, which starts March 17th, since April 1st Election Day falls during spring break. Thank you. Good night.